few hours ago, the steeple of the First Congregational Church in New London, Connecticut collapsed dramatically, taking out most of the roof of the church, and even though someone was in the church at the time, they escaped without any injury. This structural collapse is one of the most significant in Connecticut history since the Hartford Civic Center collapse and the L'Ambiance Plaza collapse, but those were new constructions. This church has a much longer history. The congregation of this church formed in 1642, and although they had different locations and buildings over the years, the current church that just collapsed opened in 1850, designed by New York-based architect Leopold Edlitz. Edlitz's name may not be recognizable to you, but he was significant in the American architecture scene during the 1800s and has been called the last Gothic architect in America. Some of his projects include the Tweed Courthouse in New York, the New York State Capitol, and possibly Trinity Church, but he usually wasn't the only architect working on major projects, so his credit is usually a couple names down the list. What makes this worse is that even the major projects where he was the only architect, like Temple Emmanuel, the original Brooklyn Academy of Music building, and P.T. Barnum's home named Iranistan, were all burned down, demolished, or destroyed. Which means that New London's First Congregational Church was one of the most significant and last examples of Edlitz's work, especially in the Gothic style. Which is why this church was already on the National Register of Historic Places as a part of the historic New London area.
Team coverage on the church collapse continues right now. The I-Team digging into the inspection and construction history of the church. Chief investigative reporter Sam Smink joins us now to tell us what she has learned tonight. Sam.
According to the fire marshal, there should be a fire inspection every 2 years, but the church hasn't been inspected since 2019, he says, because of COVID-19. Officials did stress that a fire inspection wouldn't have picked up on any building defects. The city of New London shared all of their inspection and permit documentation with us today.
The church was bought in 2015 by Engaging Heaven Ministries, Inc. for $250,000. The owner is James Levesque. Levesque runs a course called How to Start a Church from Scratch in Just 5 Days. In November 2018, a routine fire inspection found the fire alarm system was failing, but was later fixed in 2019. According to documents, Levesque applied for several electrical permits for the wiring of 2 furnaces. They passed inspection. New London Fire Marshal said their inspections don't look at any potential structural issues.
So it's a very simple walkthrough of the property. What we're not able to do is see anything beyond any walls or in areas that you don't have access to.
As for the building department, they will only inspect the building if there is a complaint.
The short answer is there is no process for routine inspections of structures in the city.
The previous owners, the First Congregational Church, commissioned an engineering study in 2011. That study found the slate roof over the existing sanctuary was in poor condition and needed many repairs. Today, the city says the roof was fixed a few years ago. The only permit for work on the roof we could find was from 2001. In 2017, Channel 3 did a story with the owner of the church as he was trying to fundraise to get the clock tower working again. The owner of the church had started GoFundMe to raise $25,000 for the repairs. We found it only raised $770. No permits were ever submitted for work on the clock.
We've been trying to reach the owner of Engaging Heaven, who is listed as James Levesque. We have not been successful. In 2023, the church was assessed for $1.6 million. The mayor says they are still investigating insurance history on the property. Sam Smink, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
I heard like a big, like loud bang sound. It sounded like a bomb.
But all you see is a big black cloud.
Holly Parks and Estevan Garcia were just feet away from the Engaging Heaven Church when the roof caved and crumbled to the ground. A collapse that created a thick cloud over Union Street.
You could feel like when the building collapsed, like the vibration of it. It felt like very like heavy, like you couldn't breathe at all. It smelled like when I was coughing, it felt like smokers coughing away.
But for Parks and Garcia, the church is also a haven for a hot meal. The two say they were just there over a week ago.
A lot of homeless people come there in the morning, eat breakfast, and do what they gotta do.
I started getting depressed and my eyes was watery. He was like getting upset.
Tonight, surveillance video capturing the stunning collapse of a church steeple in downtown New London, Connecticut.
Possible explosion caller does see smoke.
The church roof and steeple crumbling in the middle of the day, shrouding city blocks in a haze of dust.
Church just went down.
Lester Harris had just parked his car across the street.
I heard this boom sound, and I looked to my left, and there was the church all in one piece, but then it just collapsed right down the middle.
Miraculously, the only person believed to be inside the building at the time escaped without injury.
She thought it was a windstorm, and so she didn't really pay it the mind until she heard them yelling, "Evacuate, evacuate."
The former First Congregation Church, built in the 1850s, now reduced to rubble. Teams using drones and heat sensors to comb through the wreckage. But tonight, officials are preparing for a demolition.
You can count the luck involved in this a million ways. The city was extremely fortunate in the manner of the collapse. It could have been a much bigger disaster for us.